Good evening and welcome back to Cape Crusader Chris. As always, I'm Cape Crusader Chris and I hope you're having a wonderful evening. So tonight I'm going to be getting into my review for issue 4 of Absolute Batman, and this is absolutely the biggest comic right now out right now in the comic world, and I'm having a blast reading this series. Issue 4 is titled The Zoo Part 4. Issue 3 we ended with spoilers. This is all going to be spoilers, with Batman taking a deal with Black Mask, and we see a beautiful conversation between Bruce and Martha and how she's going to be helping Gordon run for mayor. But this is what issue 4 that I'm in, and this is probably my favorite issue so far. This is very much a character building arc where we see the beginning of this absolute Batman, sort of a year one, sort of a he's just testing out the grounds, and in the background we see Bruce at the trial for Joe Chill, of course, who killed his father, Thomas Wayne, which we'll get into some beautiful, very sentimental moments between Bruce and Thomas. Right here at the beginning of the comic, we see that Bruce is going to be taking the stand. This is a flashback scene. So these issues, uh, they really focus on these flashback scenes to build the world of Batman. But of course, like I mentioned, we're going to be focused, like it focuses on the past, the conversation between him and Thomas, him and the stand at the trial of Joe Chill, and him reinventing the Batman. Right here, we see an interaction between the 10 thieves trying to collect money from the citizens in what is now being known as, Crime Alley in that area. This is what it's being known as, and we see the first sort of, I don't know if this is the very first appearance of him as his version of Batman, but it's very vampiric. He's literally biting the necks of these guys and putting like a sort of a tranquilizer in them. I believe that's what he referred to as. And just seeing, this beautiful art. It's a guest artist on this one. Uh, It is Gabriel Hernandez. He's the guest artist, and the story is by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. And he, in this iteration, he had a gun, but he didn't use it. Of course, it wasn't. It was a fear tactic. He wanted to instill fear, but it was very raw. Bruce didn't really know what he was. He was still trying to grasp the elements of Batman, and I like this because, like I said, it's very vampiric. Look at his eyes. Look at how he's slashing their faces, biting their necks. It's a very interesting look at his early iteration of being Batman. And he has these beautiful conversations between him and his father, Thomas. Um, Another flashback, like I mentioned, he's building this bridge that he's going to submit to it's sort of a contest, and the winner gets to take his class on a trip to the zoo. And this first arc is titled The Zoo because, of course, that's where his father was killed. And what we've known for years of the origin of Bruce Wayne, of Batman, is that him and his parents went to an opera or the movie theater, depending on like which version that you're reading. He was scared, they left and they were killed. um And in this one, he takes blame because, he's a very innovative child. He's very smart in the way he's building this bridge. And he has a conversation with Thomas about, like, Thomas in this version, of course, is a school teacher. And, traditionally, he's a heart surgeon. He's just a surgeon. But Bruce is using the conversation that he had with his dad to sort of figure out, like, how can I get this Batman down? Like, what am I doing wrong? This gun isn't doing anything. These fake fangs isn't doing anything. This blood isn't doing anything. He's trying to reinvent the wheel of being Batman. He's trying to figure out, like, what does it mean to actually be Batman? And Thomas inadvertently, sort of helped him with that, by being true to yourself. And him and Bruce had that conversation about what does it mean to be a bat, because his bridge was being, was inspired by an actual bat. Cut to him, sort of catching his stride as Batman. Right here, we see him stopping a route for the Maroni and the Falcone family, um, and he's just it's just these always this is my favorite shot. One of my favorite shots in this comic is him just standing there with the wheel, just like not scared. He has like an RC, sort of like if you played Call of Duty Black Ops, he has like one of those things. And he's raw still. He's implementing fear, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to stop crime and implement fear as the Batman. So I really like this panel right here of you see the trailer of this 18 wheeler sort of go up into the roof, sort of like The Dark Knight. Have you seen The Dark Knight? It's my favorite movie of all time. Um, but yeah, like I mentioned, he's trying to figure out what it means to me to what it means to be Batman. And what I think Scott Snyder is doing very well is sort of taking the traditions of Batman, of instilling fear in those who need to be fear instilled, uh, carrying out vengeance and carrying out justice for those who have never faced it, being a symbol of hope to a degree for those who are in need. Uh, and Thomas, like I mentioned, is telling him like, in another life I could have been a surgeon, but in this life I'm a teacher. And as a teacher, you know, I want kids to feel safe in this world. And I really love this version of Thomas, from what Scott Snyder was able to show us in these issues so far, because Thomas Wayne, the version that I know and love, is the surgeon, is the one that picked up Bruce whenever he fell down, that well. The one that showed Bruce that, there's more than life than just money. There's more to life than just power. And we cut back and forth between Bruce on the stand. And this is extremely, heartbreaking. All of a sudden my father dropped and I thought he was playing a joke, Bruce, but then I saw his face. I knew he was dead, and that fear, the terror of being left alone like that. It's such an interesting take on one of his parents being killed, as opposed to both Martha and Thomas. And we're getting the flat his perspective on what happened that day and the pain that he's feeling. And he's angry at Joe. He's angry at Joe Chill. He hates him. He says, "I effing hate you." And why wouldn't he? He's facing the man that killed his father. And we cut back and forth until the wheels are turning in his mind about what it means to be Batman, about why people need this hammer of justice to go into these cities that are being overrun by corrupt governments, that's being overrun by these gangs, that's being overrun by just corruption overall. And I loved how he tied in the bridge that he was building. He tied in the conversation with his dad. He tied in the errors that he was having as his early stages as Batman. And Scott Snyder, he just intertwined you know these flashback scenes beautifully with the present, and how he's able to sort of tie it all into a bow, that everything in his life has led to this moment, has led to him being the Cape Crusader. I absolutely love this shot of Batman. He's very, very powerful. Uh, and yeah, and then the comic, it ends with him meeting Joe Chill, facing the man that killed his father years later as an adult. What I think this issue does amazingly is, like I just went over right now, how he's able to intertwine, he's able to connect these dots, the conversation he has with his dad, the bridge, what the corruption in Gotham, the errors of him being early Batman, the things that he was able to use, like that scene of him stopping the Maronis and the Falcones, you know, everything is leading up to this moment of him being this absolute Batman, of him, oops, of him being a symbol of justice. Uh, like I said, this is probably my favorite issue so far of the four that I've read, because it just tied it beautifully together into why he is Batman. We all know, in this version, he lost his father, and that trickled down into him becoming Batman. But what past lessons did he learn? What are the errors that he's learned to become the Cape Crusader? So overall, I love this. I love this issue. Next, we're gonna be going over issue 5. I'm excited to read this one. We're gonna, I'm assuming, tie back into Black Mask, leaving off from issue 3. But this issue 4 was such a masterclass in building the identity of Absolute Batman. But yeah, I love this issue 4 of Absolute Batman. Um, I can't wait to keep reading it. So, yeah, guys, that is my review for Absolute Batman issue 4. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm King Crusader Chris. I'll catch you next time. Peace.